Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. I'm super excited to have Jan Schroeder on with us today. Hi, Jan.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm excited to get to know you today.
Absolutely. I'm excited as well.
So sometimes I have guests on the show that I've known for years, or we're friends, or we've worked together in some capacity. And that's always fun to have conversations where there's like familiarity, but I also think it's very special when I get to podcast with someone that I really don't know. And so, for the audience's, perspective here, people requested that I had Jan on the show. So she's my request. I'm super excited. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where do you live? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Well, I live in Huntington Beach, California. So love it. Love the beach. I grew up in Pittsburgh and never saw the beach until I was 19. And at 20, I said, I'm moving to California. And my parents were like, what? I'm like, I'm moving to California. So I transferred to school out here after 2 years at West Virginia University. And I transferred to a real small school, Chapman University. At the time, it was Chapman College. And I never went back. So
wow. Okay. So do you like the West Coast better than the East Coast? Come on.
I do. I absolutely do. The weather is, you can't beat it, you know, and I just love the vibe, you know, it's now when I go back home, I love to go back home and I love to visit, you know, but then I'm like, I want to come back.
I love the West Coast too. I'm more Pacific Northwest. You know, you're California, I'm in Oregon. I'm more Pacific Northwest. And I wouldn't say the weather's always amazing here because it's a little more on the side than you are, but it is a cool vibe. The West Coast is a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Are your parents still back on the
Yeah, my whole family is still back in Pittsburgh, and you know, I go back maybe once a year, and I love to go back, and I love the trees and the rivers and all of that. But I don't know. I fell in love with the beach, and you know,
give it to your 20-year-old self to be like, I'm gonna pack up and move across the country.
Exactly.
I love like our inner 20-year-olds.
I know they're fearless, but not always the smartest.
Out for you. Okay, so I know some of just from reading your bio, like you're a Ph.D. and Cal State Long Beach and
Right.
Kinesiology. So is that what your doctorate is in?
Yeah, so I have a doctorate in exercise physiology with an emphasis in gerontology, so studying older adults. And I absolutely love the older adult. I fell in love with that population when I was working on my master's degree. And I found my home, you know, I found my home, and it was I was in my mid-20s, and I was like, this is the best population to work with. And I still work with them today.
Oh, gerontology. So I see. So the root, like same root as in geriatrics or wow. And so are you the one that planted the seed in our Ruben's heart for this beautiful population? Oh.
Yeah. So for your viewers, Ruben, he was my student, and as part of our degree program that I put together, we have a class in the aging process, and they are required to go out and they are required to work with older adults. Actually, we work with older adults in low-income housing and provide exercise programs for them. And so that's where Ruben was introduced to the older adult population.
What a ministry. Like,
yeah.
ministry to people's lives. That's just so beautiful. I mean, full transparency. I was not interested in this population until watching him and seeing his passion for special populations and older adults. And it was so beautiful and touching and attractive that it opened my eyes and my heart. So I've jumped on the bandwagon. Started teaching, and you saw that we've co-created this Roots program, which is really he gets so much credit as his mentor, and really he sings your praises all the time. So it's an honor to kind of formally this. So did you have to write a thesis to get your doctorate, and was your thesis related to gerontology?
Yeah, so we for your PhD you have to have a dissertation, and it's a brutal process, and you're constantly being picked apart by your professors on what you're writing about and what you're researching and all of that. But it's also a really cool experience because you get to create knowledge, something that we didn't know before. You get to research it and then put it out in the universe. And so, my dissertation was looking at 3 populations of seniors. So those that were community living, assisted living, and skilled nursing, and looking at the differences in their fitness levels and what is it that might preclude someone to going to that next higher level of care.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so you still teach there?
Yes, I am the coordinator of our Bachelor's of Science degree in fitness. We are one of the only universities in the country that has a degree in fitness. Most universities have a degree in exercise science.
Wow.
Which we also do, but we have this specialized degree in fitness. And so it's for those individuals who really want to work in the fitness industry, whether it be personal training or corrective exercise or working with athletes or group exercise or management, and we guide them in that way. And so we have a Bachelor's of Science degree, which I run.
Okay. Well, before we dive into the heart of this episode, which is the Group Exercise Instructor Success Toolkit, I would like to know just a little tiny bit more about you. I saw, and I actually went online and looked up your Garage Girls website. So awesome. So you have your own membership and your own thing and some virtual classes, and your website's really great.
Yeah. So we are 16 years that most of my clients have been with us. My average age is probably about 70 years, 72. And so I've been a group exercise instructor for 25 years. I started when my son was just a baby, and I taught at 24-hour fitness for the longest time, and then I taught privately, and it just kind of evolved, through. It just evolved. And so I have this company, Garage Girls Fitness, and we do in-person group exercise, and then I do online video on demand. So I have clients around the country now.
Awesome. Guess what? It's funny. I also have been teaching for 25 years. I also started after my son was born, and I also started at 24-hour fitness. I have my an online gym and stuff too. That's funny.
That is funny.
And you were the 2021 Idea Fitness Leader of the Year.
Yeah, that was a really special honor, and I kind of felt like, oh, I don't know if I deserve it, type of thing. But it was really special, super special.
The biggest honor. It's the biggest award in the industry, really, I think. So I don't know, audience, if you can hear Fig, the puppy. Jan, can you hear Fig?
Barely.
Well, Jan and I, before we hit record today, we're talking. I was saying, I have this new puppy, and the audience already knows. They already know that I have a new puppy, so they're probably not too surprised that he's making noise right now. But I have a new puppy. He's a Whippet, and Jan has a 1-year-old dog that is a maybe blue heeler mutt
Yeah. let's call her that.
Love mutts. I think that mutts are like a one of a kind, like an original piece of art. It's one of a kind. Like there's so pink. So oh, fig. Okay. Well, we are going to dive in puppy noises and all. Anything else you want to tell us about you before we dive into your toolkit?
No, I think we can get right in there. There we go. There he.
Oh, hello, baby. Okay. That was the first for the show. I had just a second. So I'm excited to hear from you and learn from you. So what are your tips?
Well, obviously I come from an education background and I'm strongly rooted in education. And, I was listening to some of your previous podcasts and I was like, oh yeah, that's one of my tips. Oh yeah. So I love that other people bring it up as well, because I think we need to hear things more than once and in different ways.
Can I interject? I was actually going to say that when we toyed around with different topics for you,
mm-hmm.
we kind of landed on this one. I thought, we've had other guests talk about, this probably some of the same things that you're going to say, but I thought that we need to hear it again and you're going to say it differently. So yeah. I'm just so excited. Because I don't know what you're going to bring to us, but
yeah. Well, we kind of talked about it, Ellen, about how to be successful as a group exercise instructor, and there are a lot of different ways to go about being a group exercise instructor. Like I said, I've been teaching for 25 years, and before I taught, I was one of the shyest persons to walk this earth. I mean, extremely shy. And I didn't think I could be successful as a group exercise instructor because I'm like, oh my God, I have to get up in front of a class. And that alone, not even worrying about choreography, worrying about music or anything like that. Or it was just standing up in front of the class. And so when I started, I actually started because of my absolute best friend who now lives in Chicago. She said, Jan, please, you have the scientific knowledge. And she doesn't she didn't because a lot of group exercise instructors, they do this part-time. They're a mom, they're a lawyer, and they do this because they love whatever the format is. They love hearing the music. They love the energy. And that wasn't the way I came about it. And so I was like, okay, how do I do this? And so I approached it from the education side. All right, I need to be educated. And because of my background, my degrees, I had all this scientific knowledge and I was able to talk to people one-on-one in a language that they could understand, what the research said. But I was still shy. So with this, when we look at being successful as a group exercise instructor, it's something different. That word success is different for everyone. Some people might feel more successful if they have the scientific knowledge and they're able to bring it. Some people, for example, for me, I felt extremely successful when I was able to get through a class without shaking. And even now today, when I present at conferences, I know my material, but still it's that, oh my God, type of feeling. So with that, one of the ways to be successful is education. And that could be a formal education, such as a degree program, but that's not for everyone, especially for those individuals who come to group exercise from another background.
Yeah.
So being educated, though, we can, do webinars. We can read articles, go to conferences. And honestly, I think going to conferences is one of the best tools that you will ever have as a group exercise instructor. because you get to learn from some of the top people in our industry, and we're nice. People come up to us and sometimes they're afraid to talk to us. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, let me know how I can help you. And I find that throughout our industry.
I agree. It's like the conferences being sort of like the mecca of development. And there's just so much there. There's so much about investing into one, what's the Bible verse that says like, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Just putting like money into something, investing, and then leaving home, like getting away from your life and the demands, and just dedicating a weekend or whatever to learning and being stimulated by colleagues and inspired by colleagues and professionals. Just there's really nothing. I got a little goosebump. There's just like that environment, and no one leaves a conference not feeling like they didn't level up. And see so many instructors that don't keep their flame goes out and they become apathetic, and it's same old. But it's really hard to get stuck in a rut if you're investing in education.
Absolutely. And like with those conferences, you learn from the best in the world, because international presenters will come to conferences to present. But I also find that you learn from the attendees, that you see people making connections. And I love that, because that is all part of development as an instructor. What we do on the West Coast might be different than what is happening in Kansas. And I love to see what's going on. I love to see what's going on in Europe, because I think that is so fascinating that, they just blossomed, into amazing group exercise formats and that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in another way, I think to help us become more successful, and it is probably one of the harder ways, and that's self-evaluation. So when you teach, you don't see yourself. You kind of have this out-of-body experience in which, you're in your head, you have, okay, what's my next step? Where am I at in my 8 count? Where, how's my back row doing? How's my front row divas? Those sorts of things. And so you're not paying attention to possibly your body movements or what's coming out of your mouth. So self-evaluation, I videotape every single class that I teach. Every single class. And I will review it, especially if it is something new. And, some of the things that I found out when I was teaching is I always look to one side of the room. And I didn't know that. And I also tend to look down towards the floor. And I don't know if that's because, teaching 25 years ago, we were teaching on a stage, and we had to kind of look down and those stages are gone. Or what, but
they're not gone here.
Aren't they? Oh my gosh, they're gone in California.
I guess they're in Oregon, because I think
once in a while you find a facility with a stage and you're like, ooh, yes.
Okay, well, they're still here.
I kind of miss it, I feel like a rock star up on the stage, but I've also fallen off a stage once or twice. But reviewing that video, to see what your idiosyncrasies are. Yes. Go ahead.
Well, I do it too. I don't record every single class fully and review it fully, but I do record myself a little bit every class. And just like you said, I see both. I see things that I'm like, wow, me. Look at, I'm funny or whatever. Like I see things that I do that I'm like, do more of that. Look at how big, look at how much I'm smiling, and people like, do more of that. But then, it's so cringy. Like I see, like, to your point about lacking the self-awareness, I perceive my voice as having lots of texture and lots of, rich tonality and volume changes. And I hear back myself, like, oh, I'm wrong. I actually really sound very almost monotone in places that I thought I had a dynamic voice. And so it's just stuff like that I would not catch. My perception of myself was that I was better than I was. Same thing on burpees. My perception of my burpees is that I'm like, boom, I feel so strong. And then I look at the video and I'm like, oh, I really actually am not getting my butt down into alignment the way I thought I was, the way I tell my students to do. So and you know what else I do? This is a little maybe embarrassing, but I watch my Instagram stories back. Like if I'm doing like face to camera talking to my Instagram peoples, I watch those back just to be like, am I annoying? Am I funny? Am I communicating? Like, is it too long? Am I talking too much? Because you're right. We just lose. We don't have.
And it's like we tend to pick ourselves apart when we watch a video. You're like, oh my gosh, I really do that. But what you said, Ellen, is super important. You pick out the things you did well and you keep doing that, and that to me, that self-evaluation on a video, when you first start doing it, it's really awkward. It's really awkward. But then the more you do it, it's like, okay, all right, and you'll find those habits that you might have and you either correct them or you find those habits that you're like, yeah, I'm going to accentuate that.
Exactly. And this is a super, really viable point for us, all of us, all the listeners, because I do have people tell me, oh, I never watch myself back. Even when we do our production for Warrior, like, oh, I don't want to watch myself back. Like, I don't want to see what I look like. I'm afraid, like, no, watch it back.
Exactly. And it's like, you can do it in your own little corner of your world and nobody has to know that you're doing it,
Curl up, get a blanket.
Exactly. So, and that kind of leads me into the next phase, which is, self-evaluation is great, but also you need to get feedback from other people. And getting feedback from your clients is one thing, but your clients, they love you. Mm-hmm. You can't do things wrong in their mind. You can screw up song after song and they just think it's hysterical. But so it's like, but you can take, okay, did they like that song? Did they like those moves? Did they like that new exercise we tried? That's all great. And I love to get feedback from my clients. I always just take it with a little grain of salt going, I know you guys love me. You tell me that. And it's true because they have this connection to you, with that community that is so important in group exercise. The harder feedback to get is from your supervisor. Right. If you're teaching in the gym. And it's not because of they don't have time for you. It's because we're nervous, like, oh my gosh, are they going to say, oh, you really shouldn't be teaching, but type of thing. We kind of go to that dark place in our mind. But with supervisors, they're really good at pointing out how to improve. And if you can get past that fear of it's not negative feedback, it's corrective feedback. And you can, or if you don't want to do it from a supervisor, do it from another group exercise instructor. Yeah. And, I have a group of colleagues that we all go to the conferences, we all present and that sort of thing. And we've gotten to the point where we go into each other's presentations. We don't listen to the content. What we're doing is we're taking notes for them. Okay, this is how many times you said, or this is how many times that you were fidgeting when you shouldn't have been fidgeting. And we're brutally honest with each other in a nice way, that we're here to support, and we take that feedback and we put it into play. So, but you have to have that relationship with someone that you can take their feedback in not a negative way, but in they're doing this to help you get better.
I feel like we don't all have that like gift. We don't all have those people in our lives. And I have had, it's just such a blessing. Like there isn't a better gift than someone that loves you enough to say those hard things to you because they want you to improve. And I'm telling you, I have had my wonderful handful of people like that in my life. And actually, I'm at a kind of at a stage right now where I want, I need that, like, come back. It's more like when I worked for this person or that person, but now that I'm the boss, like it's harder to find those outside people. And I mean, you know, you were saying that supervisors not all supervisors are good at doing that. I think that for the supervisors that are listening, because I know it's awesome. We do have a lot of group fitness managers on here, like just as a reminder about how important that is to do for your team. And for the instructor to not be defensive and to just say thank you. Just say thank you. Such a gift.
It is. And you're right, because it takes a while for you to be able to take in that information in a non-negative way.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you can find another instructor and to say, hey, can you come take my class and just tell me, you know, if my squat form is correct. That's all I want to know from you. Yeah. And start taking it in little doses before you go through the whole class. And just say, I want feedback on just this one thing. And that way you kind of ease into it, type of thing.
But it is true, like the 2 points that you had to first education, but then self-evaluating, but then even us, we're biased and we don't see things and we don't see ourselves necessarily the way we really need an objective outside opinion too.
Yeah, for sure. So then I have another tip, which is called experiential learning, or experiential development. And this is when you can take other people's classes, which I think is a great thing to do. I love taking other people's classes because I love to hear how they cue. Because we get in a rut of, you know, step, touch to the right, or whatever it may be, you know, whatever that cue is that you use. And taking other people's classes can give you just a little bit different of a spin on it. And I mean, it's so, I think it's hysterical. It's kind of embarrassing, but I would have the same opening for one of my classes. So much so that my class would say it with me. It's like, I don't care if you're on your right foot. I don't care if you're on your left foot. I don't even care what step you're doing. You know, as long as you're moving and having fun. They, to this day, can still repeat that. And it got to be so much of a joke. But then I thought to myself, you know what? That's me being complacent and me just falling back and not trying to up level, you know, my intro. And so I started really listening to other people's intros when they were teaching so that I could mix it up. And so taking other people's classes is fantastic.
Listening and watching, like you mentioned already when you were talking about your friends that would sit and take notes and watch, I think you said the word fidgeting. Like, I think the whole intro, like I did, one of my favorite podcasts is about like how to intro your class well, but like part of it is just like, are they standing still? Are they standing proud? Are they, you know, do they have class control? Are people paying attention while they're talking? And yeah, I do think it's an area that is an area where we can get complacent, and is super important. I mean, we all have new people that come to class and have never met us before or never tried it before. And so yeah, and I'm not very good at taking other people's classes as to the level I want to be. But one thing that I like to do is pay attention to how what they're doing or saying makes me feel. Like one thing that I'm like continually surprised by that I forget is how ridiculously powerful the things we say are, like the motivational things we say. You know, I think, well, I'll speak for myself. I guess I shouldn't speak for everyone in the whole world, but I forget that those things that come out of my mouth can really affect those motivational things, those encouraging things. They then, because when I take someone's class and they say something, it affects my whole outlook, my whole. So, we're really in a powerful position.
We absolutely are. And so another experiential thing is to co-teach, because then you can play off of each other. And I used to co-teach all the time with my best friend, and it was great because if my child needed a diaper change, she would go do it, that type of thing. But that co-teaching is something also that the energy you feed off of each other is amazing, and as you said, because Dawn and I had such a close relationship and that love was there, that was brought out to the class. And it was like they felt part of our relationship as fun. Best friends,
That is so fun.
It created more of a community.
So what do you say to the people that are listening that are like, that's not in our payroll, or like, we can't get paid for that? Like, because I think that's a great idea. Is it something that maybe we could, just maybe occasionally, I don't know.
Yeah. So because way back when in 24-hour fitness, we used to co-teach.
And we both get paid. Like if you're more than 25 people, I think I was teaching body pump. And if
exactly.
More than 25 people, there were 2 of you.
Right. Yeah, it was a blast.
But now when we co-teach, I'm like, do you want to volunteer to co-teach with me?
Yeah. Well, and that's it. You don't have to do it every week.
No,
but
once a quarter.
Exactly. And I always think, whenever we have like a themed class, that is the best time to co-teach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just pure fun. I don't care if I get paid for that or not. I just want to have that energy. But at the same time, I'm learning from the person I'm co-teaching with. And so, occasionally, a few times a year, there's 6 of us that actually teach an hour and a half class together. And I just love watching and seeing what they do, because it's like, I can add that. Yeah. I love how they transitioned those moves or whatever it may be. So co-teaching, or even let's go back to, taking a class from others. If you don't have the time to go to an actual, facility and take a class, go onto YouTube. There are so many people that have classes you can watch for 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, totally. I pay for Alo Moves and do yoga on there, and those instructors can cue. Oh my goodness. I'm like, blow my mind with creativity. I want to cue like that.
Yeah. And it's like, you can keep going back and forth, back to each of these people that you might like on YouTube. I think
it's free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's one of those things where, I never thought of doing that move that way.
Yeah.
But now I have people all over the place that I can go, oh yeah, I dig that.
You made me think of something else too, under the take people's classes thing, as like another like pushback that an instructor might have, is if they're just physically too tired because they teach so much or whatever, but they could still sit and watch. Sit, hang out and watch you teach.
Yeah. Exactly, because we do have to protect our bodies. There's only so much we should be teaching.
I want to take your class, but I'm not going to really work that hard. I'm just going to sort of mark it out.
Exactly.
I just want to hear you cue. Watch you do your thing.
Yeah, and it's like, see how they interact with the people in their classes and those sorts of things. All of that is really important, because everybody has their own style, and not one style works for every single group exercise instructor. It's like, I look at like Ruben is what, type of thing. I am not like that. I'm more intellectual. I'm more like, okay, this is why we're doing this and da, type of thing. And it's fine. My style works. Ruben's style works,
Right.
And so, but you can see there's a place for all of us to teach group.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got two more.
Okay, go. Let's do it.
One is finding a mentor.
Oh.
That to me is imperative. When, I was starting 25 years ago, I didn't do that. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I got certified in 8 zillion different formats, and I didn't have somebody to guide me. And I think it's really important to find somebody who has been teaching group for a while to give you that, guiding path. And it's your choice to say, yeah, that would work for me. No, that wouldn't. But at least there's somebody there to bounce ideas off of. And so finding a mentor is super critical, in my opinion. I know, like with Ruben always says, I'm his mentor, and I love that. And I would do anything in the world to uplift him. I will sit in the background all day long. I don't need it. I want people under me who are not as experienced to come up and surpass me like flying colors, type of thing. Because that's what a mentor does. A mentor is there to help you reach your goals, whatever they may be. It might be to teach, Saturday morning at the prime, time slot. Let me help you get there, type of thing. Or it could be, I want to be a presenter. I want to present at conferences. I want to be in, the videos and all of that. And let me show you how, type of thing. So my last one is networking. Networking with other group exercise instructors is really important for your education because, again, everything that we've talked about is just things to put into your specific toolkit I'm going to take a little bit from there. I'm going to take a little bit from there. I'm going to take a little bit from the over here. And so when we network and we get to know other instructors, you never know where life is going to take you and how you're going to elevate your classes, whether it's still in your hometown or whether it becomes at your regional level, your state level, the national level, or even international level. Networking is what you need to do.
Networking, 100%. I like networking, and also like a little tiny sub point to that from my arsenal of also 25 years is keep your nose clean and keep your integrity at all costs. Stay away from gossip, stay out of and just don't burn any bridges in our industry or in your life. Just walk with integrity, keep, stay clean, and, have good rapport with people because it is a small industry.
Yeah.
And you never know, to your point about networking, every single amazing opportunity. Here comes the puppy again. Hello. Oh, I hope you didn't destroy the downstairs. Every single incredible opportunity that I have been blessed with and by, there was a connection with somebody that I never thought that would be a fortuitous connection in my life. I didn't meet them or try to, like establish goodwill with them because I thought there'd be an opportunity in it for me someday, but there was.
Yeah.
It's just, without networking, we just, I don't know. Yeah. It's just
there.
It'll take your career path to places that you can't conceive of, like directions. And it's really, that was great.
Yeah. It's like, I think back to when I was in my undergrad, still extremely shy, just so shy. And but like you said, never burned bridges, always was, cordial to everyone, always made sure that I had their contact information, and vice versa. And it has led my career into something that I never, ever imagined, And so it's being kind and being open to other people. And it's not, I never go into it of what do you have for me? What can you give me? It's like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Because it always, in my opinion, it always comes back. So.
Interesting that with the points that you the toolbox, the tools in the toolbox, some of them could relate to one another. Like the mentor could also relate to the objective feedback person in your life. And the networking piece that is so important could also relate to the education and going to conferences. So it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. They all kind of commingle, and it's like, just think about, okay, what can I do this week to improve? Is it through education? Maybe I read an article, on the new, whatever it may be, or maybe I videotape myself, self-evaluation, and review it, or I get feedback from maybe my clients or my supervisor or just another instructor, or I take another class, see what it's like, or at least I review a class on, YouTube or whatever. Maybe try to find a mentor. Who could I identify that might help me in what I'm trying to achieve? And then networking, start to reach out just to even other instructors. You never know. I mean, everybody, I love group exercise in that you never know what their quote real job is. And when they have that real job, it's like, oh my God, you're a CPA. Hey, I need help with.
No, it's so true. I'm like, you have an Airbnb? Cool. I need it. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So just being open to allowing yourself to be vulnerable and improving your skills through education or evaluation or feedback or, mentorship or however you want to achieve that. And you'll find that you'll take these baby steps. And we don't have to make this gigantic leap all at once, just these tiny little baby steps and get you to where you want to be.
That's right. I love it. Okay. So I know you've listened to some of the shows. Do you have a confession for us today?
I think I've said a few in there as we were talking with falling off stages.
Oh,
yeah. But I guess my biggest confession is that coming from somebody, I grew up with 4 brothers. Yes. So, rough and tumbly, and I pity my poor mother, type of thing growing up. But also being that shy person that I secretly wanted to be like the center of attention, being a middle child, It's like, I wanted to have people look at me and see me. As the middle child, we always have that, that complex, but I wanted it, but I didn't know how to do it because I was so shy, and group exercise is the thing that made it happen. So there's my confession.
I love that you brought the shy girl thing that you started with full circle. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are introverted and shy that are attracted to this industry. I don't know if they're all middle children though. But that's awesome.
And I do want to encourage everyone to attend Ideal World.
I was just going to ask. Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, you have a new role there, and I'm going to be there. So, go ahead.
Yes. So I worked for Idea Health and Fitness Association 20 years ago. I was their education director, in which I would program the events. And so I was doing that job full time, which was in San Diego, and my full-time job as a professor up in Long Beach, which they're about 2.5, 3 hours apart. Yeah. So I was doing both jobs and driving a lot between the two. And I loved it. I loved working for Idea. It was the funnest place to work ever. So many of my good friends are from 20 years ago that, we still keep in touch. But this year, I was asked to program Idea World again. And so I'm super excited to go back into that role. It's like riding a bike. And so I do want to encourage everyone that if you want to see what a conference is like, IDEA is a fantastic conference to go to. It's in Sacramento this year. So super easy flight from basically anywhere to get into Sacramento. And it's in the middle of July, so a little warm, but the area surrounding Sacramento is fantastic. It's, for those of you who don't know, it's our state capital. So there's a lot of interesting history there. But the conference itself is going to be fantastic. I'm fingers crossed. But there are ways to attend. You can attend as a full attendee. So you would pay the conference fees, or you can attend as support squad. And support squad is where you work for basically half the conference, doing things like registration or room check-ins for sessions and things like that. And then you, in exchange for working half time, you do not pay for the conference. The conference is comped for you. You can find both of those on IDEO's website, the actual location and how to register, or how to become support squad.
And we can put it in the show notes too. I can grab those. I'll put them in the show notes. And I'm really excited that it's going to be in Sacramento, to be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to it. LA is a little tricky. But I just feel like IDEA did a good job of taking everyone's feedback and making a really good decision about location. And I love supporting the organization. So they've done.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well to get into a smaller market, and not just have this huge city that can be quite expensive. So Sacramento is a lot more affordable.
I just think it's more practical for people, and that's what they were asking for. So I feel like IDEA listened and pivoted appropriately. So I'm excited to be there for it. And we'll put your Garage Girls link in the show notes too. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if any of your listeners do come to IDEA, please stop in and say hi to, when you see me, stop and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. And everyone, I apologize for the puppy. It's new in my life. So I know there was a lot of background noise, but we still had a wonderful conversation. And thank you for bringing so much value. And just to go back also to something we said in the beginning, it was different. You did deliver some of the things, some of the toolboxy things that have come up on the show in the past. You did a really beautiful job of delivering in a unique way. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will see you, if not somewhere before, I will see you in mid-July.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.